So today is Wednesday, November 9th, 2016. Donald Trump is being declared the winner of the election against Hillary Clinton. Very much a surprise to all the polling and analytical data that we had going into the night. I just finished watching Hillary Clinton give her concession speech. As good a speech as it could be for such a shock. And a lot of people right now are wondering what happened. How did Trump manage to win this? Someone with absolutely no political experience, someone who's extremely divisive. It's just, it's, it is historic. There's nothing not historic about it, given the circumstances. On the broad scope, going into the primaries very much reminded me of the election cycle from 2012. Just the fact that there were so many Republican candidates trying to vie for the nomination, but the outcome ended up looking very much like the 2000 election between George W. Bush and Al Gore. The very, very close races in so many swing states that ended up going Trump's way within tens of thousands of votes. I told you guys every vote counted, and this is it's so true that they each counted huge in this election, especially Florida, Michigan, which is still too close to count, but at this point doesn't matter. Ohio, North Carolina, so many close races, and now we're looking at a Republican White House, Republican Senate, and a Republican House of Representatives, which I don't think anybody expected. Maybe Republican House of Representatives and kind of iffy on the Senate races, but I'm pretty sure most people are thinking, oh, Hillary Clinton, she'll probably win. It was actually really entertaining to watch. I was watching ABC as the election results were coming in, and they were all shocked. They were excited, not with like joy, not excited with joy, but like, this is incredible. Why is he doing so well? Just the shock of it was, I think the political analysts were just, like just, how is this happening? All our data shows that this is not what's supposed to be happening. So let's think about how did this happen? How did Donald Trump end up actually claiming the presidency? And I think there's two really big things. First, it wasn't really a standard campaign. I mean, this is something that's obvious. It's something different. And I think that's what a lot of people wanted, was something different. A lot of people didn't want Donald Trump, but they wanted something different. And I think in the end, the desire for something different trumped Trump, thus giving Trump the win, if that makes sense. But I think the bigger thing is the turnout from the rural areas of the Midwest, Florida, Michigan. Those really are the ones that have tipped the scales. And they came out to vote. It just comes out to turnout. That's really what made Trump the winner. Had rural America not voted in such a high quantity, or had the more urban areas, more metropolitan areas, had they had a higher turnout, we would be talking a whole different story right now. It really did come down to turnout. So the question now is, what happens next? And this is the part everyone is really fearful of. It was like, well, what happens next? Is Donald Trump going to do something crazy? We don't know. And that's, I think, what people fear most, is that they don't know. And many times when a presidential candidate tends to be kind of off the handle, it comes down to their political party to kind of keep them concreted in and not go too far out. And we saw the Republican Party try to do this in the campaign trail, and it didn't work. The Republican establishment was not able to beat out Donald Trump. So if that's our precedent, I don't know if they would be able to do that now that he's president. Now he has authority. So I don't know. I mean, if I'm a Republican establishment guy, I'm a little bit unnerved. Yeah, my Republican nominee just won, but now I got to figure out, well, how am I going to work with this guy? And maybe it won't be as bad as we're all fearful it will be, but we really don't know. We have reason to be kind of fearful of that. A very strange campaign, many things said that you would not expect a president to say, or even a presidential nominee. It's something different. Right now, I think there's two groups of people that will really be impressed by these results. The first, obviously, will be the conservative, very conservative Republicans, the ones who really, really, really did not want to see Hillary Clinton in office. They will be fine with these results. Maybe Donald Trump is not their first choice, but it's certainly better than Hillary Clinton, at least in their minds. Second group of people who I think may not be happy now, but maybe in a few years we'll have some appreciation for this, is the hardcore Bernie Sanders supporters. I'm not talking about the ones that were supporting Bernie Sanders in the primaries, and then when Hillary Clinton won the nomination, we're like, okay, we'll vote for Hillary Clinton. No, I'm talking about the people who were Bernie or bust, people who were so dead against Hillary Clinton that once she became the nominee, either decided to vote for Green Party or Socialist Party, or just not vote for a presidential candidate. Because now, in 4 years, if Bernie Sanders is willing and still healthy, maybe he goes again for the Democratic nomination. And a lot of people were really, really hoping for him, especially young people. So 4 years, he'll have a good shot, because if you think about it, Hillary Clinton, she becomes president now. The Democrats are not going to want to put somebody against their own president for a second term. That just does not happen. Who's not happy with these results? I'm going to say most people, just because most people didn't want to see either of these candidates become president. So I think most people are kind of not happy. They'd be happy that it's over, but now, Trump is going to be president. So, yeah. mm. But really, Democrats are probably really disappointed right now. Hillary Clinton, who is a veteran politician, extremely knowledgeable, extremely qualified as far as just having that resume, Secretary of State, Senator. I mean, she's got a resume that looks presidential. Donald Trump, not so much. Someone that most people do not like, yet he still beats her. So Democrats are pretty disappointed, and there are going to be some mixed reactions in many groups. I'm thinking the moderates especially will be, well, they wouldn't be happy either way. Just some interesting observations looking at the race at large itself. I was surprised there wasn't as much third-party support as I expected. I expected to see Gary Johnson do a little bit better than he did. Really, the thing that killed him is that he didn't get into the debates. Had he gotten into the debates, I think he would have done a lot better, because people would have been able to place a face to the name, that sort of thing. And he was really the only third-party candidate that had any shot of doing anything, and it was a really long shot at that. But I was kind of surprised he didn't do as well as I think he should have, given the fact that both of the major candidates were extremely unpopular. Another third-party candidate I was interested to see what would happen was, I think his name is Evan McMillan from Utah. And I knew he wouldn't win, but I was really interested to see how he would perform in Utah, because he put all his resources into that one state. Basically, not a race to win anything, but a race to basically defy Trump, I think. Defy everything that Trump has done, everything Trump stood for. And he did pretty well. I think his numbers, I haven't seen the latest numbers on that, but last I saw, he was just below the numbers for Hillary Clinton. So almost major party numbers. And Utah is very heavily Republican in these last election cycles. So that was impressive. I would have been even more impressed had he beat Hillary Clinton in numbers. And he may have, I have not seen the latest numbers, but last I saw he was just below her. So impressive, but I don't think enough to make a huge difference. at least not in the long term. But certainly something that was interesting. So just a couple things to wrap up with. First, we're going to have a heavy Republican government. They have Senate, House, and now the White House. So they got 4 years to get it right. If they don't, I think you're going to see a strong reaction, a strong turnout from Democrats in these next few election cycles. So, I mean, Republicans, you better get this right. Otherwise, you're going to regret the decisions that have been made over these last couple hours. Second thing, I think we're going to see some changes in the way campaigns are run. Donald Trump is a unique individual. That's one way to say it. And I'm not going to say that all presidential campaigns will now try to follow his strategy. I don't think they'll be able to pull it off. This is a surprise as it is. But certainly it makes all of us want to take a second look at how presidential campaigns are run. Certainly there was something there that no one else saw. And in the end, it may just be all the anger against the establishment. That really could be what it just boils down to, and not have anything to do with Trump. But certainly I think political science professors and teachers for government will kind of take a look at this and see what was different, and it will be really interesting to see how campaigns function from here on out. I'm not expecting any major changes, but I think subtle changes we'll see in the way how candidates approach people, or at least certain demographics. Last comment, if you're not happy with the way the election turned out, first off, did you vote? If you didn't vote, man, that's your fault. You have no right to talk if you didn't vote. Well, maybe something came up and you just couldn't do it. Okay, maybe, but probably most of you who didn't vote just didn't want to or didn't feel like it. I don't feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. But if you did vote and you don't like what you saw, that's democracy. Another election will come up in a few years. But whether you liked the results or you didn't like them, you remember that we're all in the same boat here. I'm not super happy with the way things turned out, but that doesn't mean, I have the right or I'm justified in lashing out at other people for the way things turned out. It's not going to help anybody. It's just going to make things worse. So, if we don't like what we see, let's talk about it. Let's go out and talk to people. Why did things turn out the way they did? And are we all happy with it? And to her credit, I think Hillary Clinton at least was correct when she says, we're stronger together. And we are. If we continue having campaigns where it's all about taking out the other guy and making them look terrible and nothing else, we're not going to have anything to talk about. Every election is going to be the same. And I think it'll really ruin democracy, because a democracy is dependent upon people who are not only active, but people who are informed. That's where we need to get to. I think there was a lot of activity this last election night, but I don't think there was a lot of information. I still don't know where Donald Trump lies on pretty much all the issues, except for he wants to build a wall and a few other things. I don't know what he's going to do. And that's frightening, because if people are voting for somebody that they don't know what they're going to do, why are we voting for that person? And I don't want to see that be a consistent pattern. Let's try to reunite. And that's a hard thing to say, given the way this election campaign season went. I have never seen it so bad. Certainly I've not been around as long as other people, but I remember the 2000 election, and that was pretty tight, both in numbers and in tension. And we don't need that. We don't need riots out in the streets. We don't need crazy things happening like that. What we need is what Hillary Clinton said in her concession speech. We need a peaceful transfer of power that we don't only respect, but we cherish. And we are so fortunate in this country to have that. I think people, they don't realize how lucky we are to have that. Things are going to be different. Things are probably going to change. I don't know whether they'll be better or worse, but as citizens, we need to do our duty. We need to do our jobs. Let's do what America does best and work from the people. That's all we need.